Alright, this is part 2 to my previous video of my last minute Tableau video. For whatever reason, there's a part of it I forgot to do. Also, for whatever reason, I had to cut down the first video a little bit because there was a problem with uploading the amount of time I put into the first one, so for whatever reason, I'm now stuck to making 2 parts. It's because of my phone. Not for whatever reason, but my phone has limited storage at the moment, so it's cutting down videos automatically for some reason. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, I'm still going to be using the same data files as I used last time for the tutorial. I will be going into more detail. I've already done the other parts in my previous video. This one I'm going to be going into different features or smaller features that the tutorial stepped into a little bit, but didn't really provide a intricate part to the whole tutorial. And I'll be going into other features that the tutorial didn't explore or identify in the slightest, or maybe just slight hinted at. So firstly, as you see here, we have a graph here. If we go here to the top, we show mark labels. This would show the specific number to the data that is provided with all these different entries. Now we can click off that and then shorten it up so it's not so much, and we can do the same thing for this one, and there we see just the exact, rather than having an assumption or a general area of where exactly these sales would lie, we see the exact number without having to hover over it. So we see that without hovering over it, we see the sales for the machines in the southern region would be 27,595. And we'll click off that. And let's go back to the first one. Let's look at the first one actually. And then something else other stuff the videos didn't show you is that we could even do this. So rather than having to drag each individual set of data to just the different region, we can just press this button right here, this one right here, that can just swap rows and columns, and we have this. It's the same data, shows the same information, it's just different format. We can also upload it as ascending order. So rather than having it just a mishmash, let's do undo real quick. And then, so rather than just having it section by section, we can organize it a little bit to provide that by which sections are greater. See, this is cut down right here. So instead of just whatever, we can ascend it. And then we can also do the opposite where it's descending. So we see the greatest value first, and then it descends to the lowest value. We see here the machines obviously is the highest value, all the way down to copiers, which has the lowest amount of sales. Now let's undo that again. Let's see what else. Trying to get in my chair. There we go. It's a very uncomfortable chair. We have other means of duplicating. We have, rather than going down here and like right clicking, we have other buttons up here that allow you to duplicate. For example, we have, what was it? It was this one. No, that was new work. This is duplicate. Same thing, we can do a new worksheet here. We can duplicate this one, and we can also just clear the entire worksheet if we wanted to, but I would prefer not to. It's a lot of stuff to put back, but that can be simply resolved with a press of this arrow button, the undo button, or a press of the Control-Z key. Let's see what else we can do here. Let's see if we do... Let's mess around with what we have here already in the sales, and then maybe we can obviously do little small things like rename the data. So instead of showing up as sales, we can show up as number of products sold, but sales is a lot easier to spell out and much more simpler. We can change data types too, so rather than them showing up as a decimal, so if we go back up here again, we can see that, oh, that's not what I wanted to do actually. can change data types. So rather than showing up as whole numbers, we can have them show up as decimals. This is a bad example to do it on because you can't exactly sell half of a specific machine. Physically, I mean, yeah, I guess you could if you just cut it in half, but you know, you're not going to sell just half a washer because you need the whole thing. So bad example. Let's see if I can go over to a number chart specifically, and then maybe I can see what this shows here. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this one. See if we can format this data set here if we right click it, and then we can get a little table over here, and then we can go over to default, and let's see if we can, maybe not this one, sales, numbers, profits, and there we go. If we go to sales, we should be able to go over to format this one, and then under numbers, which is scale, we see automatic, and then we can also change it to either currency style, standard, percentages, and whatnot. So let's go over to percentages, see what it does. Well, I didn't do anything. Oh wait, never mind, I did it down here. We're able to see that certain things are categorized by percentages, but by this, it really isn't a good way of going about this. Let's see if we go over to currency instead. We're able to see the specific currency, which it changes into, but let's go back to automatic to where it was before, and we're able to see just the general number of which this provides, negative 4,000, and this is almost at that range with its negative 3,840 mark. Okay, let's click off that. I don't want to mess up this field too much. Still have to upload it later. Let's see what else we have here. See what fit width does. Height. Alright, so up here we have an option to fit the data. This is the standard view, so this is how that all is. If we wanted it to show all the data into one screen, so we don't, as you see before, if we go back to the standard option, no, that's not the right one. If we go back to this one, it gives you the option to scroll down on it, but unless you don't want to do that, because slightly, if you notice that the data is a little, see some part of it scrolls up, but the numbers and the bars of it kind of slowly move along with it. So if you didn't want to have to deal with a little bit of lag, we can go over to fit height, and then fits all the information here onto one page without having to scroll for it. It does scrunch up everything, so I would prefer the standard format because I don't like squinting my eyes all that much, especially on an electronic screen. Let's see if we do fit width. It really doesn't look like it changes anything from, yeah, it doesn't change anything at all from the standard version. So if we had different information, that probably would be different. And then we do entire view. And then it depends on how the table is set up, but if you want to just have everything on the screen, basically just entire view, but unless the data is differently set up, then you would just choose which one you would want to do. Let's see if I can find a different example for that. Let's see, we have this one. Let's see, the height wouldn't matter on this case, but the width. So it really just depends on the manner of which you're scrolling. So back with this one, we have to scroll up and down for this one. So that means that the height would work better as going up and down, and with this table over here, as all the information is able to see plainly on this screen, but we do have a scroll bar that goes left to right, meaning that if we go over here, then the fit width option would work better, providing that we don't have to no longer scroll and we can see all the information on one plain screen. Same thing again, that you could just go to entire view, and then if there was an option to scroll both up and down and left and right, then entire view would work for both options and just fit everything onto one screen. But if your information was on a type of field where you would have to scroll left and right, up and down, then I'm quite certain that all information would be almost impossible to see because it would just be all scrunched up into one little thing. Let's see what we have. We have different options for saving up here. We can, let's see, let's do forecast. Show forecast. I don't know what that's all about. Let's try creating something. We'll try experimenting a little bit. Let's try to go over to let's just create a new worksheet and then upload something like, I don't know, something that we didn't do in the tutorial, something like ship date into rows, and then let's do order date into columns so we're able to identify certain things like that. And then that data is there, and then we're able to see, so this is the year of shipping. And then let's do something like discount. Let's see what that does. Maybe one of those. There we go. That's a little better. So we have things like discounts there, but I think it's better if we just use the sales option, I guess. I'm not really liking this whole. Let's get rid of that one and just mess around with this one then. Okay. So you have options to change. As I discussed in the previous video, we have options to change color. You can change the opacity of things, which makes things a little bit more clear to see, but this one doesn't matter. Border, you can change the border colors if you want. So if you see here, if you saw that like everything's now given like a slightly shade of green. You can't really see it there. If I change to, let's see if you can see the difference as I do that. Changes it to blue, and then change it to pink. Or not that, pink. And then you see a sudden outline. Not really any difference. Edit colors if you want to. You can do automatic, pick your own colors, or even there have different options and whatnot. You can do, let's do a green to gold version, and then click OK, and then everything's now associated with those two colors, and then, yeah. But let's go back to the first option that we had, which was, I guess it really doesn't matter. I just do undo it, and it goes back to the original one. The whole thing could also be used for the maps, as we see here, or let's see, go to the profit map, and then we could use the same thing for colors, and then go back to use these. Let's do a, I don't know, let's red, blue, and white. Not so much of a red, it's more of a pink, but whatever. It's the same information, gets the message across. Go back. Alrighty. We have people here. What does that do? Let's see if we create a data worksheet. Let's see what else information's out there. We have regional managers here. We have Chuck, Maggie, Fred Suzuki, Roxanne Rodriguez, and Sadie Pathorn. Let's see. Would they contribute to the different? Let's go to sales and upload the data there. See if it contributes. And then let's do region. No, that's not the right one. Region, and then we can also. Yeah, so we see here that we can even look at which specific managers look over certain regions. As we see here, we have Chuck, who runs the East version. There are a bit better ways of looking at this information, but then we have Fred, who looks over the South. Roxanne looks over the Central, and then we have Sadie, who looks over the West region on the far right. As the information in regards to the tutorial is concerned, all we need to be concerned with would be the South region, which is run by Fred Suzuki. So he would be the main person we would be consulting with in regards to lowering the sales of the machines in the southern region. And then let's see if we have anything else over here. We have a quick button up here that allows us to share. It's the same thing with like Excel and other Microsoft files and whatnot that can just, and really any other application really on the internet these days, just a click button up here and it allows you to share with anyone through use of username or email. You're also able to use GIS systems as well to implement the data. I'm sure that's what was partially used for the mapping, but you could also use it to input specific addresses if you wanted to. As you don't have to do things like sales and whatnot. There's loads of different types of information you can use to upload and compile and analyze through Tableau. Anything else I want to do? You even have customer names up here, which I'm sure is a big long list considering how many different sales were done. Yeah, you would have a 16,250 sales that's specifically in the state of Georgia. Then I'm sure then doing that would give you that many names. At most anyway, that many names, and that would be a long list. So Tableau really allows you to organize and go into the very deep detail into business operations across, I mean, however wide your business operation is. That allows you to go into specific profits, look at your negative profits and whatnot, and then also even see shipping dates, profit margins, even order ID numbers. And as I was just talking about before, you can even look at the customer names. So, I mean, the customer ID of at least whoever bought whatever's, let's say the one specific machine out of this 3,173. I can definitely, it's fairly obvious, I think, to see why a lot of people across various organizations and businesses use this. It's a very simple tool to compile their information, and there's a lot you could do with this stuff. I don't have time to make hours of hour-long videos about doing this. There are already people who do that, but you could fill hours upon hours of your time going into detail about the different qualities and utilizations of this specific application.